So the last couple of days, I personally have been targeted by this Greg Lucas guy.
Targeted how?
Like, I don't know how else to say targeted other than targeted.
Cyberbullied or what?
They're blaming me.
For
yeah, exactly.
Blaming
for them not being a founder, for nobody remembering them, for them like being missing
the century
from pictures.
This is where the story takes a frightening twist. Almost a full day after Elijah Lucas last chats in the LTN Discord, answering as many questions he can manage before leaving to attempt sleep, Elijah returns claiming to have received a new message, this time a video, and the tone is much different than anything seen or heard yet.
My name is Bubba Stalkup. I'm the CEO, president, and founder of an organization called Love Thy Nerd, and they have been hurt by Bubba Stalkup. They have been hurt by Bubba Stalkup. I'm somewhere near you. I'm somewhere near you. I'm somewhere near you.
It's unclear if this chopped-up video of current Love Thy Nerd CEO Bubba Stalkup is meant to imply Bubba is a threat, or if the sender is using Bubba's words to threaten Elijah. But fear quickly grips the LTN Discord. Suspicion begins to form against Bubba as well. Even Elijah asked the question in his third blog entry. Is Bubba the restricted number? A QR code was spotted in the video that led once again to a page posted to Love Thy Nerd's own website without any of their knowledge. It's a photo we've seen before. But there is something different about it. A faint, ghostly image of a seventh person can be seen sitting at the head of the table. Below the image, on the page, is a hidden paragraph of binary code, leading to a new unlisted video on the YouTube channel titled Recording 0001. The video begins the same as the last, but then cuts to two photos being developed, one without the ghostly figure and one with. But then it cuts to several minutes of corrupted audio. A member of the LTN Discord was able to recover it, and we finally are able to hear what happened to Greg Lucas.
I don't know where I am. Everything here is familiar, yet wrong. I was talking to Chris and Drew, recording a podcast, when a bright, static shock or something hit me. And suddenly I was in someone else's room, wearing someone else's clothes. I thought it was night, but it was just early, before the sun had come up. My loud reactions woke up the woman who lived in that house. It was clear we didn't know each other, but she didn't seem surprised I was there. She didn't seem scared. She tried to calm me down. She offered to give me some breakfast. She gave me a bowl of Fruit Loops. packaging was off, though. Like, I thought fruit was spelled with 2 O's. But this box spelled fruit the normal way you'd spell fruit. It still had Toucan Sam on the box, so it wasn't a knockoff. I don't know why that bothered me so much. I was wearing a baseball shirt designed to look like a jersey, I guess. One of the shirts from the early 2000s that had the sleeves that only go 2/3 of the way down the arm. It said Rays on it. Not sure if it's a real team or a high school. I doubt it's important, but just trying to record all the facts. After breakfast, the woman kept trying to get me to tell her where I came from. Despite her hospitality, I didn't want to tell her anything, and she seemed to assume that I wouldn't. I told her I had to leave, and she gave me this Philips tape recorder. I used one of these when I was in college to record lectures. She told me that it would help if I recorded my thoughts, that it would help me piece things together. And then she just let me leave. I have walked around this town for hours now. Lots of people, none of whom seem to be interested in me. They all seem lost. The town also seems to either not have a name, or it has several. It feels like the 50s, the 90s, and 2020 all rolled into one here. Nothing seems to go together. It almost feels like when you're walking in a dream and your brain is just smashing together everything you've thought of that day with a TV show you were watching and the last video game you played, and mixed with a nightmare. You know, a nightmare that you've never had before, yet it feels familiar. Gosh, I don't even know what day it is. I have no phone, no internet, no connection to anyone that I know. What do I do now?
As the story begins to become clearer, it becomes more convoluted at the same time. The next day, a new article was posted to the Love Thy Nerd website. Only it wasn't an article. It was a set of letters, repeated over and over. The article description simply read, "Where is GL?" A simple swap revealed a set of numbers, and combined with the handle pointed to a post on X, formerly Twitter, and an account with the name Greg Lucas. In blog entry number 4, Elijah Lucas writes the following.
This led to a Twitter post, as well as revealing an entire Twitter account under the name Greg Lucas, featuring some of the photos we've seen and the profile description reading, "I know where I am." Before diving into the Twitter post, it was noted that in the location on the profile, a set of longitude-latitude coordinates were listed. These coordinates were set on the road between a smoothie place I've been to many times and the house I lived in with my wife Janice until she passed in 2020, and I moved shortly thereafter to a smaller apartment across town. My old house is located directly across the street from the smoothie place. They opened in 2018, and every Saturday morning, Janice and I would walk across the street to get a couple drinks. They were delicious, but unrelated to anything happening here. The road going east is on the property, which has a few warehouse buildings and workshops, and a radio tower at the back of the property. It's becoming more clear that Greg Lucas is somehow tied to me. Or at least, he thinks he is. But I still have no idea how. Anyway, back to the tweet that the post pointed at. Here was this image. I did some searching and found out that this was a YouTube thumbnail from a recent video of LTN's. It clearly implies that Greg is cross with Bubba Stalkup. Bubba claims not to know Greg either, but we'll get back to what Bubba said in a moment, because this image continued the hunt for clues.
A close-up of Bubba's shirt in this image reveals a hexadecimal code that led to another YouTube video on the same channel as the ones before, this one titled Recording 0002, featuring another batch of photos and more corrupted audio. Elijah continues.
There were new photos in this one, though hard to see clearly, but they all appeared to have a similar ghostly image of who I assume is Greg, half out of existence. Why do I say that? Because of what we learned on the audio.
It's hard to tell how long it's been. Days aren't 24 hours long here. In fact, they aren't consistent at all. Some days the sun is up for only a couple hours. After wandering around for what felt like several days, I found myself back where I started. Carol's house. When I came walking back, she was already on the porch like she was waiting for me. She sat me down at her kitchen table and offered to make me a peanut butter sandwich. She didn't wait for me to reply before pulling a jar of Jiffy peanut butter from her pantry. I asked her what this place is, and she didn't answer right away. She said that we'd get to that in a minute, but she wanted to hear my story first. As she slid the plate over to me, I picked up the sandwich and I took a bite. I asked for some milk, and she said that she didn't have any. She said, that stuff goes fast around here. That was a weird thing to say, but hardly the most pressing question I had. And if I wanted answers, apparently I needed to tell her who I was, so I pulled out this recorder and I let her listen to my first recording while I finished the sandwich. She was glad I was using the recorder. She said not everyone does. I asked her what that means, and she said that people actually arrive in this town all the time. And everyone is used to it by now. I wasn't even the first to show up at her house. She called this place the Forgotten. She said that every day things, people, even whole places slip through from reality and end up here. She said anytime the world forgets, when things are changed, what once existed is replaced or erased. But either way, they end up here. She told me that most people retain partial memories of the things that disappear, but ultimately brush them off as deja vu or the Mandela effect. Everything people remember did in fact happen, was in fact real, did in fact exist, but something changed and erased them from history. And they were brought here.
She grabbed the jar of Jiffy and said that before she had come here, she remembered this being called Jif, which, when she said it, is what I remembered. She said some people had told her that they remembered it being Jiffy when they were a kid. It turns out they were right. I brought up the Fruit Loops with the word fruit spelled correctly. She said, yep, that too. She said even the tape recorder I was using, Philips with 2 L's. Most of the electronics here are Philips products with 2 L's in the name because at some point reality changed to where it was spelled with only 1. I was having a hard time digesting this. She took me over to her TV cabinet and put a VHS into her Philips VCR. What started playing was a movie called Shazam, with Sinbad playing a genie. I asked her what this movie was, and she told me about her friends swearing this movie existed when they were kids. But the movie she remembers was called Kazam, with a K, and the genie was Shaquille O'Neal. Apparently, once again, her friends were right. I asked her how this was possible. How does reality keep changing? And she told me that this was enough for me to digest for now. But I just couldn't stop there. I refused to let her drop it. And eventually she relented. She told me that time travel is real and much easier to do than most people think. She said most people actually do it by accident. That all it requires is a certain exact level of electrolytes in your system combined with a static shock at a specific voltage, and that whatever memory you were thinking of at that time would be where you ended up. I asked if that is what happened to me, and she said no. She said people can't time travel here. This place sits outside of time, like reality's trash bin. I asked her how she knew all this in the first place, and she told me that everyone who travels back in time ends up here, because their very existence in a past time will change the present, meaning that the person they become will be different, and the version who traveled in time will be erased, along with anything else directly altered by their changes. But it appears only direct connections are affected. The rest of the world just shifts into the new reality, never knowing anything changed beyond half-faded memories. And just like that, I knew how I got here. And I knew who to blame. I asked her how to find a time traveler. She said that they aren't welcome in the city. They are all sent outside the walls, where they live in the infinite woods. And that's where I have to go.
The Forgotten. That is Greg's location. The Mandela effect is real. Time travel is real and easy. Things fade from our reality constantly, and the world's collective memory just adjusts, but memory fragments are often left behind. All time travelers end up in the Forgotten, but are not allowed to live in the city, banished outside the walls to the infinite woods. Greg ends by saying he knows who brought him to this place and is going to find someone or something in the woods. He blames someone. Is it Bubba?
Greg appears to have 2 different demeanors. In the recordings, he seems calm and rational. But in the messages and photos found, he seems unhinged and dangerous. Bubba had grown silent on the LTN Discord, out of fear and confusion, as he explained on the Free Play podcast he recorded for Love Thy Nerd that day, live on Twitch.
Yeah, what is this?
All I'm saying is that I don't remember this person, and I just want to publicly say right now, I didn't do anything, so please stop saying that I did something. All right, we're gonna get back to this episode. I just wanted to say that, but I was. I was spending a lot of time and energy and effort and hours doing this. Like, a lot. And then I had to step back because it scared me just a little bit.
Not wanting to leave people in the dark, Bubba finally sent a message to the LTN Discord about why he has been quiet lately.
Sorry I haven't been posting here and following along in the hunt. The clues were leading me down a path that I wasn't completely comfortable going down. Not again. Or at least I think again is the right word. I'm in a weird headspace right now. I mean, I looked at those pictures for almost an hour. Sometimes it felt like something was missing, while other times I couldn't spot an inconsistency no matter how hard I tried. It was a feeling unlike anything I've ever felt, and it's hard to really put into words. I have real, vivid memories of both of those pictures. One was at the formation of LTN before it even had the name, and the other was in San Antonio at a staff retreat right before PAX South. I don't know if it's me remembering things that didn't happen or if it's genuine experience, but I think, I'm sure that there wasn't anyone else there. The name Greg rings 0 bells though. I'll take that one to the grave. Legit, when all this started a few days ago, I was really excited. I love these kinds of puzzles, like, a lot. It's all getting a little too personal for me though. So if I'm not active, I hope that you can all understand why. For the record, I would never remove foundership from anyone. At least not without just cause.
Despite Bubba's explanation, both Elijah Lucas and many in the LTN Discord remain skeptical of him, wondering just what role he truly has in this. Is he the victim or the victimizer? Is he in danger or is he the danger? The next day, it became clear.